David Cooks.
You guys hear me? Y'all hear me all right? Yeah, say something up in here. What's going on? Where's Jordan at? Oh, there you are. Hey, when I first met Jordan, I'm his younger brother, Jerome. And when I first met him, I knew I was gonna have to step up my shoe game, get the shoes, my suit game, and most importantly, my hair game. Have you noticed not one hair is out of line here? And as long as I've known that dude, I've never seen, I think it's fake, I don't know, but his hair is what it is. So, I'm pretty sharp today, thank you. I like to give away books all the time when I start speaking. So is there a lady in the audience who played point guard in college at all? Athlete, played basketball at all? I see a hand, all right? I don't know who you are. See me at my book table, and you get a free book. I'll sign it for you, okay? There you go. There you go. There you go. Anybody, my middle name is Alexander. Any Alexanders in the house? Alex, anything like that? I can't see a thing because these lights are bright. No Alexes? All right, I'll give you one last thing. Any Davids here? David? There's got to be a David in the house. All right, I see my man right here. See me, you got a book, all right? Getting Undressed, I hope you're ready. The book is called Getting Undressed from Paralysis to Purpose. All right, Getting Undressed is not a sequel to 5 Shades of Grey. Okay, so if you're looking for that in this book, you just don't even buy it. Just gift it to somebody else. Okay? We all get undressed. As excited as you all are to be here today, and as I was last night, I did not sleep in my gear. Is anybody wearing what they slept in last night? Don't raise your hand. We don't want to really know that. All right? But we all go through the process of getting changed, of dressing and undressing. It's a beginning, it's an ending. It's your future, it's your past. The clothes you put on are an indication of where you're going. The clothes you just took off are an indication of what you just did. It's a rebranding, it's a transformation, it's a transition. So we all do it all the time. There's a point of vulnerability in between getting undressed and getting dressed when it's just you in the mirror. And you get to see all of your own flaws and blemishes and the things you like and you dislike before you get redressed. But it's those flaws and those blemishes that make you unique. It's what make you eligible for a custom-made suit. It's just for you. And so getting undressed has a lot of meaning. But for me, getting undressed really was about gaining something I had lost. In basketball, I'm a coach, I'm gonna use some basketball analogies. In basketball, there's this thing called a flagrant foul. And a flagrant foul is not your ordinary foul in basketball. It's a really hard foul. It's a foul that's designed to keep you from scoring, but also to affect you mentally. So the next time you think you're gonna go to the rack, you think about it because the foul was so hard. But what actually happens is that flagrant foul gives you multiple opportunities to score because you get 2 uncontested shots, known as free throws, and the ball. On October 19th of 1979, I was 15 years old, a sophomore at my high school. I had a goal of growing up to be a banker and to play basketball. The banking thing, I'm not sure why that was on my mind, but those cats wore nice 3-button suits, and they were around a lot of money. You know what? That's a pretty good thing to try to be. Around a lot of money and to look good. And so, that was kind of on the other side. The basketball piece, I grew up in the city, loved to play. I think I was pretty good. I'm going to tell you I was really good because there's no YouTube or anything from back in the day. So as far as I'm concerned, I may not be as good as my main man, Mike Gasale, who's here. Where you at, Mike? There he is, former Hawkeye. But I could hoop a little bit. I could drop you a little something, break some ankles, and pick up some change and stuff like that. So I didn't make basketball team my freshman year. Devastated, crushed, didn't make it. I was like, man, that's crazy. So I spent that whole next year getting ready physically, mentally, to try out for this team and compete. 1 week prior to October 19th, it was a Friday. I had a physical, got a clean bill of health. I'm 3 days from tryouts. I wake up Friday morning, have a little bit of back pain. Don't think much of it. Athletes have pain all the time. I go to school, take my exam, go to the gym, play some ball. I'm not as good as I normally am. I wasn't breaking them out like I normally do, but I still was competitive. I'm good to go. Go home. My mom looks at me and says, "Are you okay?" I'm like, yeah, I think I'm okay. I'm just going to lay down. You know, back then, I don't know, some of you guys look kind of young, but back then, your parents told you to take Robitussin and lay down. And so I didn't wait for them to tell me to take the Robitussin. I was like, I was going to lay down. So I thought I'd lay down and get up and be better. Actually, what happened, I wasn't better. I woke up and I nearly collapsed. I grabbed the table near the bed and I called for my parents. I went to the emergency room 5 hours later. Turns out that I had a spinal aneurysm. I had a blood vessel that had erupted on my spine. And so in a matter of 36 hours, I went from walking to not walking. I had my world turned upside down. Life had hit me with a flagrant foul. But as life changing as that was, what really changed my life happened 5 days later. I went to the rehab center. I was going to have to learn how to do everything over, start from scratch. And I'm in the hospital bed. I still hadn't changed clothes yet. I'm still in my hospital gown. Don't know how to do any of that. They're rolling me down the hallway. And to my left and to my right, I see people who are literally battling for their life. Brain injuries, things I'd never seen before. It changed the perspective of how I saw what I had. But then I met Tony Otters, my roommate. I get rolled into the room, and Tony's there, and Tony's in his chair. He's a quadriplegic. Never seen one of those before. Tony had suffered a broken neck from a diving accident. And Tony was like the most positive guy I'd ever seen until I met Jordan Montgomery. And then Tony was like, he was just geeked up. He was like, man, I'm looking forward to going home and going to medical school. Did he say medical school? I bet you can hardly use your arms and everything. But that's all he talked about, going home and medical school. It was the first time I understood that adversity and obstacles, they don't redefine you or your goals. They redirect you. And if you go through the process, they can refine you. I'll say that again. They don't change your goals. They don't redefine you as a person. If you have a passion, you still have it. But it redirects the route you have to take sometime. And if you allow it to happen, it can refine you. You can become better as a result. So my perspective began to change. I was like, okay, this guy's working pretty hard. I got to get up out of here, too. They told me 6 months. It would take me 6 months to get out. That's a long time. I'm 15. I'm liking girls. They're liking me. I got stuff to do. I'm thinking it's basketball season coming up because I'm going to be all right. So I start busting my tail. I remember the day they taught me how to get dressed. Amazing day for me. I'm like, I'm good. I can get my own clothes on and off. I'm ready to go. One step closer to going home. But then I'm in the room one night and I'm like, wow, they never taught me how to get undressed. I would always get help getting undressed. The nurses would come, get you ready for bed, do all that stuff for you. So one night, there was no help. I had to teach myself how to get undressed. So I thought, it's pretty easy. I'll just do the opposite of what I did to get dressed. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work at all. It took me about an hour or so to figure it out, and I finally got myself undressed. Now, I had real freedom. I could get it on and get it off. So I worked really hard. December 24th, 1979, 2 months after being admitted to rehab, I went home. Christmas Eve, Christmas present. Tony Otters changed my life. He changed my perspective, which impacted my effort. And I knew that I could never accomplish anything great with a negative attitude or negative actions. And I also start to understand relationships. I get my first job. I'm 17 years old. I get my first job at a bank. I am hyped. I'm a lockbox clerk. Some of you probably have no idea what that is, but that's okay. Google it. And so one of my responsibilities was to file checks. Okay. Checks are things we used to use to pay bills. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I had a response. They're pieces of paper. And okay. And so anyway, I had to file these checks. That was part of my job. I was the best check filer in the world. Let me tell you, my checks were straight. And but I didn't see it as filing checks because I was in the bank. I did well enough filing checks that my next stop was in the vault with the money. So I got to count money for a while. I'm juiced up. I'm 17. Let me tell you what happened when I was 17. There was leaders in the community who saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. And they positioned me to be successful. I think one of the greatest attributes of leadership and great coaches is to instill confidence in the players on their team. Not confidence in their ability to lead, but instilling your confidence in them to perform. And so once they did that, I'm 17 and a year and a half after having my life turned upside down, I'm now ready to go. I'm ready for commercial lending. I'm good. Oh, you know what? That's my second score. I scored 2 months after I got out of rehab. And now I just scored again. On the other side of adversity and on the other side of your trouble is the ability to score. You need to be looking for opportunities to score. So I graduate from high school, score again. And I get an internship with a bank. Go to college. Graduate from college, score again. Get a full-time job with the bank in commercial lending. That's where I always wanted to be, with the 3-button suits and the customers and lots of money. So I get the job. I meet a guy named Mark Hogan. Mark Hogan is my mentor. Mark teaches me the ropes about banking, how to be a good banker. But what Mark did for me was something special too. Mark taught me about life balance. And he had me pursue coaching because he knew I loved basketball. He said, Cooks, you should try coaching. I said, what do you mean, man? Well, you should do that. You should do it. I said, well, I don't know who to coach. Well, there's a team at the bank you can coach. Oh, boy, a bank team. You can imagine what that was like. You know, so I coached the bank team. I'm juiced up to coach them. You know, I'm trying to get these grown men who got children and stuff to run suicides and lines and stuff. That didn't go too well, but I was coaching. I was still good, okay? But Mark got me to follow something that never died in my life, and that was my love for basketball. That led to a lot of things. Without Mark Hogan, we all need a Mark Hogan in our life. Someone who provides an assist. We always talk about the scoring, but the assist is what's the beautiful thing for me. As a coach, I analyze the flow of an offense based on the assist. The assist means someone is willing to sacrifice a good shot for a great shot. They're willing to make the extra pass because you're in a better position to score. So I got all that from Mark. And without that, I would have never met Michael Jordan. I'd have never met Coach K. I'd never been a head coach at my high school. I would have never gone to Europe and represented the United States with Mike Gasell and Adam Woodbury. Relationships are everything. They're not something. They're everything. I had lunch with Mark Hogan last week. He wanted to see how I was doing, if he could help me. And I wanted to see how he was doing. Because relationships are everything. Okay? I left corporate America and took a 70% pay cut. 7-0. Just so you get it right. But it was time. I found myself at work diagramming plays while I'm underwriting billion-dollar deals. I was like, you know, this is not right. Take a 70% pay cut, live on campus, move in with a bunch of upperclassmen. I'm a grown man at this point. But there's a cost to following your purpose and fulfilling your purpose. And money does matter, but not at the expense of your purpose, ever. So I move on, I do that, I start coaching, get some other things done. I skipped the part about Coach K, and I know you want to hear about that, so let me back up just really quickly. So I leave the bank and get my MBA at Duke, okay? Something I always wanted to do. I didn't know Coach K, didn't know anybody there. The reason I got into the Fuqua School of Business is that my essay I described my perfect job to them. And my perfect job was being a head coach in a town with lakes because I love to fish. I put that on my application at one of the top 10 business schools in the country. They were confused by what I wrote. And they called me and said, look, we need to see you because we've never seen this before. But being authentic and being real can get you in places you never thought you could get into. So I get there, and I'm like, I got to meet Coach K. I don't know him, don't know anybody. Go to see him the first time, they tell me he's on vacation. I go to see him a second time, they tell me he's on vacation. Well, how much vacation this guy got? I go a third time. She says something different. She says he's not available. Oh, he's not available. That means he's here. I'm about to leave the office. Another Tony enters my life, a guy named Tony Lang. Tony's on the basketball team. That was a championship with Hurley, Leitner, all those guys. Tony's in the office and he says, hey, aren't you the guy from Wisconsin? And I hesitate. I don't know you. I don't know if I'm from Wisconsin. I could be from North Carolina. I could be from anywhere. Let me just see where you're going with your question. And so then he says to me, I saw you coaching in St. Petersburg, Florida with an AAU team from Wisconsin. Love the way you interact with your players. Are you here to help us? Oh, I'm from Wisconsin and I'm here to help you. Absolutely. So I get this unsolicited testimony for something that I was doing that I didn't know people were watching. And he gives his testimony in the office, in front of Coach's secretary, and some other people. I'm good. I'm in. I get to meet Coach eventually. I work for Coach K. He puts me in the office. There's no position for me. He says, but I want you to be a part of what we can do. Would you be willing to be a manager? Well, let me explain to you what a manager does, okay? A manager fills water bottles, makes Gatorade, runs down loose balls, and washes clothes. I'm a grown man getting my MBA, and he asked me to do some kid stuff. Well, I didn't see it that way. You know why? I filed checks 10 years ago, and I got to be a commercial lender. And I also saw that I would be gleaning from arguably the greatest of all time. And that's what I did. My greatest moment with Coach K has nothing to do with basketball. My dad died in 2012, and he knew that I was helping with my family and stuff, and when my dad passed, he sent me a handwritten note saying, we're praying for you during these tough times. You're part of our family, Coach K. Relationships are everything. I'll close with this. I have walked and I have not walked. Don't get it twisted. Walking is the business. Life doesn't allow for us to pick and choose our testimony, but it does allow for us to determine how we respond to that. I'm reminded of a man who was at a coffee shop and he bought a cup of coffee. And there was another person there that bumped into him, and he spilled some of his coffee on the floor. And he was asked, why'd you spill your coffee? He said, well, this guy bumped into me. Well, he was partly right. But had he ordered water, water would have been on the floor. Had he ordered milk, that would have been on the floor. Because whatever in your cup, when life hits you, that's what's going to come out. So the challenge is for you to fill your cup with gratitude, with determination, with positivity. Because I'm telling you, life will come and bump you. And whatever in you is what's going to come out of you. Remember, you and you alone are uniquely equipped to fulfill your purpose and nobody else's. Because your ability to endure is always greater than your willingness to endure. Let's have a great day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for David Cooks. Thank you very much, sir. All right, so we come now to our first guided activity of the day. So in the spirit of getting undressed, don't get any ideas, Paul. Let's get a little vulnerable, shall we?